Hello and welcome to the Film Lovers Guide to the Galaxy. I am here with Joe and Johnny.
Hello.
I'm Jared. Yeah, we're gonna get to know our host this week. We're gonna kind of shoot the shit a little bit, kind of hang out and talk about things we've seen over the past week. Just kind of talk about the maybe some news if it comes up, anything significant that happened. So yeah, Joe or Johnny, I'll go after you guys. What movies, or I mean, we could even put TV in there, but movies mostly. What have you seen in the past week since we recorded last?
I mean, we just previously recorded Tarantino, so I really am just finishing everything up. So I rewatched all of the Tarantino movies, but I also was watching all the special features on it, and there's certain things that watching special features. If you guys don't know, since everyone here kind of streams their shit now, there used to be special features on Blu-rays and DVDs that you can
Oh yeah.
watch,
Yep.
right? That which gives you more
Mhm.
insight into the movie and kind of takes you behind the scenes more or less. And I've always loved watching it. I literally just finished like a couple hours ago Jackie Brown, and let me tell you, Joe, I think you're the only one that's not on board with this movie.
No, I,
This
I think
movie,
it's a good movie. It's just not on my top list. That's all I'm saying.
but this movie is so good. It's just I just forgot
It's got that
how great it is.
steez. It's got
Yeah,
style.
it does. It's very good. I rewatched Django a couple nights ago. I don't know.
Mhm.
Jared thinks it's a downer. It is an uplifting time. Yes, there are times where I'm like, ugh,
Topic
some of
is a
this.
downer topic though. It's like a very, very touchy topic, and you can't make it all, you know, like that.
But the love story
Still,
between
still into the Rick
Django and
Ross.
Brumhilde, oh yeah, it's so good. It is one of those edits where I was completely off guard and I was like, cool, I'm okay with this. This is fine.
Mhm.
I get what he was trying
Yeah,
to do there. So other than that, the only movies I'm looking forward to tomorrow, I'm gonna watch Mortal Kombat. Hopefully it's good. And then I don't know if you guys see trailers for the new Tom Clancy movie that's coming on
oh no, I
Amazon
haven't.
Prime. It's Without Remorse. So it
Okay.
stars Michael B. Jordan.
Oh yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
it. Uh-huh.
Steven Salima, he directed the second Sicario movie, not the first one, which the second one is a little bit more action based, but I'm actually excited because one, Michael B. Jordan's in it, but two, Taylor Sheridan, he's actually one of the writers on here. And if you guys ever seen any of his work, if you haven't, I'll recommend. He's written Sicario, Hell or High Water, no, Wind River was is the one he directed as well. Those are very, if you're looking for like desolate kind of westerns that is noir like for this day and age, these are the movies that you could probably be interested in.
When we're talking about movies we watched in the past, again, I watch random stuff all the time, with no regards to rhyme or reason.
So
The
Joe, when you say that, do you just have something on in the background a lot? Do you just
No,
like it as
so
background noise, or
yeah, I feel that. So I actually have a strong feeling about that kind of thing because I had a roommate in college, love you Jeff, that he did all this kind of stuff and it kind of ruined it for me. So the only thing I really have in the background, it would be like a TV show. I'd have The Office playing, or I'd have like Friends playing, or something like
yeah,
that.
something you
Um,
could tune out?
yeah, like because with that stuff, you can tune out for 10 minutes, tune back in, and you'll just be fine.
Absolutely.
Um, Two things I watched. I don't know why I watched it. I watched 50-50 again. I thought it was a great movie. Like it's like a
Oh
serious
yeah,
Rogen movie,
the
and it's
Seth
about
Rogen JGL joint.
yeah. It's about beating cancer and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know. So I think a lot of people, I think, it kind of flew under the radar a little bit. But again, great movie. I rewatched Garden State just because it was. I was like, oh, I don't know. I thought it was like a very much like a Zach Braff, hipster
Yeah, I mean, it started.
student project
Yeah,
film sort of thing.
If we want to talk
Um,
about movies that has not aged well, that
yeah,
is, to me, that is it. That
um,
is
like
real weird in spots.
yeah. To be honest, that movie was because I only watched it because I'm a big fan of Zach Braff. And I think this was his first big movie thing coming out of Scrubs, right? Like he sort of did his own thing or whatever, and it was again like you guys probably say it was fine. It was fine. And I thought when I looked at it, it was fine. I probably wouldn't really watch it again. And the last thing I watched this week was Princess Bride. I only watched that because my friend's like, "What's that movie?" I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me right now?" So
Wow.
we watched that movie, Princess Bride. In terms of movies, I'm looking forward to, for whatever reason, I think Cruella will be pretty interesting. Even
Oh.
though I know the
Okay,
story, but
so did you see the other? I'm gonna
yeah,
interrupt
go
you
ahead.
there.
Yeah, it's fine.
Did you see the other villain movies?
The other villain movie. What do you mean by other
So
villain movies?
Yes.
Maleficent.
So yes, I've
Um,
seen Maleficent.
mhm.
But other than that, I think that's the only one. I think. In terms of Disney, right? You're talking about Disney live action villain movies.
Yeah.
Correct. It's
Um,
just Maleficent.
it was it was fine. It was fine.
What did you think of the other live? Have you seen the other live action ones?
Just live action Disney movies.
Yeah. Just,
I mean, I've seen is it Lion King? I've seen
hmm
Jungle Book.
hmm
Oof. What else was there? Um,
There's Cinderella. There's Aladdin.
yes,
Mulan.
There's
yes,
Beauty and the
yes.
Beast. Mulan.
Oh, okay. The Mulan just dropped the
Boy,
average real
okay,
low.
when did they start that trend? Because they pumped out a lot of them
I want to say
real
that
quick.
Lion King was the
No, they
first.
started.
No,
They started
Jungle
with
Book,
Cinderella.
right? Oh, it was Cinderella.
Cinderella.
Was it really okay
Cinderella.
Okay.
Because this was like in
with Emma
2014.
Watson?
No, that's Beauty and the Beast.
Oh God, that's
Cinderella's
right.
with Lily James, and it was like Kenneth Branagh directing it. So if we take it a step back even more than it really is
15.
Maleficent, which is probably a year
Yeah, I
before.
could probably agree with that.
So
Um,
Maleficent starts it off, then it kind of goes from there.
Boy.
just in general, how I feel about live action remakes of classic Disney movies is I'm pretty certain that yes, it's a cash grab, but I think just generally speaking, overall, they're okay, well done. I think that for example, for Aladdin, I thought Will Smith had really big shoes to fill, like for sure, because everyone think of Robin Williams as like they like this is like the god, right? And he was so funny. He was a classic. It's hard to do, and Will Smith has his own brand of comedy. So I thought the movie was good in the sense that they kept some of the songs. Like I think that's for me personally, you got to keep some of those songs. And when Mulan cut so much of that, I'm just like, I'm happy I didn't pay for this. Um, my friend did. I just watched it. I was like, sorry, dude, this sucked ass.
Uh
It was
yeah,
just,
I
oh,
can't
God.
believe. I mean, we grew up in that age of just absolute bangers every single year from Disney.
That's why they call it '90s Renaissance.
Dude, I
It
mean,
was
it was
absolutely
amazing.
incredible.
Yeah.
But the way I feel about these releases, it was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to live up to that again, right? Because the standard's so high. And I think with,
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to resell. I mean, our childhood back to us,
I mean,
and
it somewhat worked, right?
I would tell you that these movies, because my cousin has a kid, he's like
okay.
4 or 5 years old. These movies are not designed for us. They're
Oh yeah,
designed for us to take
our
our
kids
kids
see.
in.
Yeah, for sure.
So now the question becomes is do we show our kids the original animated or the live action? I will say there's a couple where I will completely avoid the animated and go live action. One being Cinderella. Cinderella is the only one that I feel actually benefited from being a live action simply because it's directed by Kenneth Branagh and he likes doing Shakespeare things, which actually blends Cinderella really well too. Kate Blanchett's really good as the stepmom in that movie.
hmm Yeah,
Beauty and the Beast is the problem is with some of these, it's like hash for hash remake. Lion King is the worst out of all of them because it really
yeah.
is beat for beat outside of one song that they added with Beyonce in it, right? That you're supposed to delve into now a little more, but it really whatever.
You're
Like
saying Lion
that to
King is
me.
worse than Mulan?
Oh,
Okay, I'll say this: Lion King is worse than Mulan. Mulan's more offensive to me than it is in
So you,
general.
so you,
So you're saying if I'm trapped in a room right now and you're telling me I can watch live action Lion King or live action Mulan, give me live action Mulan.
by how much? Like if Mulan's a 2, this
oh,
like Lion King is 1?
that's blowing my mind right now, Johnny.
Think of this is how much I did not enjoy Lion King simply because it all it did was decided, okay, we're just gonna go CGI like we did with the Jungle Book, except with
But
the animals. It
Yeah.
really did not do anything. If
Yeah.
anything, the problem with, and here's my biggest problem with it as well, is that when you do photographic animation to make it look real,
Mm-hmm.
can you see lions smile?
well, here's the
You
second.
you don't,
I
right? So the
get it.
problem is that you can't see them emote, so you're just, it's blank. There's nothing
Okay,
emotionally you
sure,
connected to it.
but it's an animal movie. Mulan is a human movie.
All these
Get
are all
out of here with
design
that.
choices. Yeah, get out with that. I'm not gonna
No, but
take
like
that.
that's the
No.
difficulty of it. You can't say CGI is the reason you don't like. That's the only way to make a live action of an animal movie.
No, what I'm saying is they shouldn't have done it
Oh, okay, well
altogether. So
that's
the
a
fact
whole
that,
nother thing
but the
altogether.
fact that they did it, now I have the product in front of me.
Fine.
At least with Mulan, at least I get some action sequences that are pretty fun to watch in spurts.
Mulan was so terrible.
It is, but it's not. I would rather watch that over
Anyways,
Lion King.
I
let
mean,
me
we
just
can all agree that the best one is probably Jungle Book, right? The Jon Favreau.
when is it Christopher
mean-
Walken was the big boy? Was it what?
Blue?
What's
Yeah,
no?
Christopher Walken voiced.
No,
No.
No,
No.
who voiced the giant, the massive ape?
King Louis.
Oh, King Louis. That's what he's talking about. Yeah.
Is that
No.
Christopher Walken? It wasn't because I remember him singing. I'm like, this is Christopher Walken,
Oh, Christopher Walken. Okay.
and I was like, that's actually a very good way for him to get into a song. I very much enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Christopher
that was
Walken's
him.
King Louis.
Yeah.
Blue is Bill Murray. That's what.
That's
Yeah.
That was
what.
confusing.
Okay. Yeah,
That was
yeah.
what was confusing the two.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed that movie simply because Idris Elba as Khan is like
Oh,
picture perfect. Like it was really good. Like his voice kind of like it really meshes. But I mean, if you told me between the two, I would tell you Jungle Book is probably number 2 on my list. I'll probably watch Cinderella before
Yeah.
Jungle Book.
Okay.
But Jungle Book is fun. It's a fun animated or fun live action movie.
Jungle Book is, yeah, I feel that they did the animals correctly in that one because it was interplay in between like the live. Yeah,
the story
It-
was good too.
yeah,
Music was
and the
good.
story was good. I just don't know how you fuck up Lion King that badly. I don't know.
It's Disney. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't win them all, I guess. But going back to the movies I kind of look forward to, it's actually a pretty short list. Looking forward to the new 007 movie.
Do we have a release date on that?
I want to say it's soon.
I think it's November.
November. Okay.
Late this year.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to Matrix 4. Now, here's the thing about Matrix 4. I
Okay.
have a very low bar for it. I
Of
want to
course
say
you
that
do.
now. And I think it's quite difficult for them to continue this. So I will take it for its face value. I'm not going to say it's going to be amazing, but I can see it not being bad. And the same thing really applies to Space Jam.
I don't know how I could have anything but lowered expectations for that.
Yeah.
I mean, for a movie series that kind of like I say series, but the first one really kind of changed movies after it, and that's not hyperbole. It
Bullet time.
changed movies going forward. The media, the absolute crash that happened after that first movie of like it was very Star Wars prequel-esque, like this is good, right? And that second one, and then that third one, it was like, what is going on?
I mean, I don't know if originally the first Matrix was meant to be a trilogy. My assumption is that if it wasn't, it did so incredibly well that the studio was like, we have to cash this in.
So that movie was the stay-at-home sick movie my mom would always rent when my brother would,
The
or
first
I
one?
would be homesick. Yeah.
Yeah.
She'd be like, all right, here's the Matrix. Watch it, hang out. You're
Nice.
sick.
Yeah.
And we would just sit home and watch it. And it just never get old. But then you look back on it now and you're like, oh, this is kind of lame. but,
Conceptually,
like,
it's very
cool.
interesting. The
Oh,
storyline,
yeah, absolutely.
the storyline was very well thought out. It's pretty original for what it is, given the times where all movies nowadays the originality is difficult. And I think that it's just really well done. And Keanu was a perfect choice over whoever.
But there was so much leather in that movie.
Yes.
The
all
black.
the leather.
Everyone were. I mean, look.
So-
Back in those days, that's what was cool, right? Fucking
And the
leather jacket,
phone,
leather pants. Oh,
I've
the
always
phone.
wanted a phone where I lift it up to my ear and it would go pah, and it would pop out the bottom.
Oh God.
I was gonna say my wife. I love my wife,
I
but
hope.
What?
she's very she's 8 years younger than me, right? So,
Good job, Johnny.
what happens is that when I show these movies, it's actually a good litmus test to see if it's aged well. She's never seen The Matrix, and it
How?
was like the 20th anniversary a couple of years ago. So I was like, all right, we're gonna go watch this in Dolby Cinema. We got the seats reserved, did it. We watched it. I watched it. I was thinking to myself, man, this movie, even though some of the things in terms of storytelling have been dated a little bit, for the most part, the movies has aged really well to me.
Yep.
We get out of the theater, she was bored out of her mind.
Yo, okay, but here,
Bored out of her mind.
no. Here's the thing, though. I think it's mainly catered to dudes. It's a dude action movie.
No, I don't know. It
No,
has.
but Dakota loves action movies too. So
Okay,
that,
all
that this
right.
is kind of where
Okay,
it
that's
depends on, you know,
It was.
it depends if the story actually intrigues her enough to enjoy the action that's happening.
Well, yeah, I just remember, the red pill, blue pill bullshit, and then
dude. I think
this,
that
and
was
then
cool as
that.
hell, man.
Yeah,
Reflection off the
back then it
glasses.
was way cool when we were like, fucking
Yeah.
computers, man.
Hell yeah.
But like, man, is that going to be a new segment on this podcast? The did Johnny's wife like
Dude,
this
that'd be
movie of our childhood?
fantastic. Fantastic idea.
What's Johnny's wife's score?
-6 all the time.
Because that's pretty interesting. She saw The Matrix when sure she never saw it.
It came out when she was like born, dude. That's what it sounds
I mean,
like.
she was 4 years old when
Yeah, it
it
was
came out.
99.
Right? So
Yeah, I definitely never watched Matrix in theaters. I must have watched it in like DVD or something later on.
yeah, no, I remember. So, like I said, during this time, I still wasn't watching like radar movies, but one of my friends did, right? And so
There
we
we
were
go.
going, and it's a family friend. We were going over their house to hang out, and I distinctly remember I saw the pan shot, and then I just saw a guy
Yeah.
flying in the sky, and the movie ended. I didn't know what the movie was about, right? And then several years later, I rented the movie, and then I was like, the fuck, did I just see the ending to this movie? What the hell just happened?
I guess it wasn't necessarily super spoiled for you, right? So
Yeah, so this past week I've actually been putting in a lot of work towards a lot of the Oscar stuff that of the best pictures and that kind of watching the best picture nominees and all that kind of stuff, and I watched Sound of Metal for the first time.
interesting.
And man, that movie was really good. Johnny, did you see that movie?
I did. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm telling you this, any other year, Riz Ahmed
Yeah, that's what
would win Best Actor.
yeah.
But R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman, I'm pretty sure he's winning it this year.
And that's exactly what I was just going to talk about. I mean, I really think, and when it gets down to it, I really hate pitting these actors against each other. It's really not, that's not what they're doing it for. But I mean, it's just it's kind of what it comes down to during these award seasons, because you're pitting Chadwick Boseman, a guy who absolutely killed it in his movie, and then Riz Ahmed is just plays such a heart wrenching display of what it's like to lose your hearing, and it's a respectful portrayal of like addiction and hitting rock bottom in a different way,
Mm-hmm.
and I was doing a bunch of reading about it because I like to read general people's comments about it, and I one of the comments stuck out to me, and it was about how the place that Riz Ahmed's character in the movie goes to, it's kind of like a rehab kind of, I don't want to say center, but a rehab kind of community for people, for deaf people. And the commenter was like, man, they really nailed that feeling of like stillness and peacefulness in that community, and it really made me miss rehab. And I saw that sentiment a lot, and gosh, that movie it's just so heartbreaking. I urge all of you to, if you haven't seen it or if you want to see it again, watch it with the subtitles, because it'll translate the or subtitle the American Sign Language that they speak or sign in it. It was just fantastic. I'm gonna watch it again, but man, as a special education teacher or future special education teacher, I was really happy that they treated it all with very respect. It was really respectful, and it made me really want to take sign language classes to be able to communicate with my hard of hearing students more. I mean, but you're right, Johnny. I think you're right. Chadwick Boseman's got this locked in the bag.
I was gonna say he's really good in Ma Rainey's. I forgot the title of it, but yeah,
Mr. Rainey's
he's
Black
really
Bottom.
bottom. Yeah, he and Viola Davis is like really good in that movie. So
Mhm.
I do. If we're talking just like Oscars in general, I wouldn't be surprised if Riz Ahmed won. I'm just not banking on it. But
Yeah.
any of the sound design awards,
Oh, it's got it in the
this
bag.
movie's got it in the bag because like it is so well done. Like the idea of making us kind of be in his shoes, and that's why I thought the acting
It
was
was
also
giving me
really good.
anxiety
Like
when
for
he
us to be
loses
filled
his
into it,
hearing.
hearing, yeah,
And I look at, I watched it and it really, God, that movie is so sad. I don't know. I'll probably watch it again pretty soon. But I also want to talk about Stephen Yoon's or Yun, sorry, Yun, right? Yeah, it reminds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk about his role in Minari. I mean, I think without Chadwick Boseman, it'd be against Riz Ahmed and Stephen Yun, because Minari was so good. It was this kind of slice of life depiction of this family that moves to the boonies, to Missouri, to start a farm, and gosh, it really hit home. As I remember, and the grandma comes and lives with them, and I remember as a child the first time my grandma came from Japan to live with us for a little bit, and she'd come and stay most of the year, and I remember feeling those feelings of that little boy, like, who is this lady? Like, who is this crazy old Japanese lady living with us now? She wants to do this, she has these traditions, she's saying all this stuff. Like, it really transported me to when I was a little kid and my relationship with my grandma. And that whole movie is so heartfelt. You can tell there was a lot. I mean, and I say slice of life, it's a fucking slice of life movie. Not a lot happens,
yeah.
you know.
It's very
It,
in the moment.
it's very in the moment. It's very heartfelt. It's, God, I loved it. I really, really loved that movie. I think the here, I don't want to butcher her name, but Yu Jung Yeon. I'm sorry if I butcher that name. For the grandma from Minari, I think she's a lock. I think she's got it in the bag. Because I'm looking I mean, Hillbilly Elegy with Glenn Close. God, I hated that movie so much.
That movie is a very love it
Just
or hate it. I'm with you. I hate
just
it, but
right wing trash, like
it's
propaganda.
it is.
Fuck. But I really think she's got it locked in. I think she deserved it because, God, there's just such funny moments in Minari, and it's just so good. Joey, have you seen it?
I have not. It's actually on my list to watch.
I
And
highly recommend it. When
I
you
have no
watch it, check
doubts.
back
Yeah.
in. I want to hear what you think, because
I've only
man, you're
heard good things about it, so it's definitely on
it's
my much watch.
I think he's going to win Best Director. Stephen Lee Jang, I think his name.
Lee Isaac Chung.
Yeah, Lee Isaac Chang. Lee Isaac Chang.
I don't think he will because Chloe Zhao is just winning
Oh, that's
everything for
right.
Nomadland.
I'm really looking forward to Nomadland. I really wanna sit down and watch it. I saw Mank. Mank was fine. You know,
Mank is like I was telling Joe. Mank is exactly
what you
what Citizen Kane is, right? And I say this with the utmost respect. It is technologically brilliant, but the
yeah.
story is left to be desired a little bit, and you
Oh,
could tell from the source material it got from, it makes sense, right?
Yeah, totally.
But it was David Fincher just fucking around, and he had fun doing it, and that basically was Netflix was like, here, some money, can you make
Yeah,
us a
here,
movie? He's like,
do it.
you got it,
Yeah,
you
sure.
know.
I also watched Oh Brother, our text in the group chat. I watched Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Good movie.
Oh boy, we're gonna have to do a Coen Brothers episode soon because my girlfriend had never seen it, or she had seen it a long time ago, didn't really remember any of it. I think that's George Clooney's best performance in a movie ever.
Second.
Interesting.
I think
Ooh.
his physical comedy, his line reading, his general commitment to that role is second to none in his catalog. Johnny, what do you think is better than that? Do you think Ocean's 11?
No, Michael Clayton. Like, that
Oh,
is his best movie.
That's a good one
okay.
though.
I love Michael Clayton. Like, he is so good in that movie. But I agree that
I,
his second best film is Oh Brother Where Art Thou, because there's a comedic side to him I didn't think he can do,
I
and it
think
worked really
I
well.
think comedy is harder to do.
Correct.
I think that's why I rank it higher. But just like his physical mannerisms, the way that movie was based on the Odyssey, the way that everything is so tight and it has an energy to it, and man, it's just funny.
Yeah, I would be really good to do a Coen Brothers episode soon. I've only shown one of their movies to Dakota, and
Oh yeah, which
it
one?
was No Country for Old Men.
Oh, that's a
Whoa.
one to start
Yeah.
off with.
What you think about that?
She's like, "Fuck that guy." She thought the movie was fine, but she loved the villain, and the reason why is because her biggest thing with villains is like sometimes they're just dumb, man. They just need to just kind of get their shit done. And he was one that got his shit done, and she was like, okay, this guy's very creepy. I kind of enjoy this movie. She didn't care for
Hold up.
Tommy Lee Jones'
But that is
character.
the point, though, right?
It is.
Yeah.
That is the whole idea, right? Because she always has this idea of like villains talking too much, and I'm all like, they would have gotten shit done if they just didn't monologue. And I'm all like, you're right. It's also a movie, but I get what you're saying. This
Yeah,
is
but
this is Joe's
like
logic right now.
Oh
Anton
boy.
Anton Chigurh just going, call it. Call what, Fran? Call it. And it's just like, oh God, please. Like, it's this, that whole movie is this car crash happening in super slow motion. And you're just going, no, like the whole time. God, I really hate, speaking about the Oscars and them, I really hate how No Country for Old Men and There Will Be Blood are somehow linked in everybody's mind. I because they were up for the same year, the same Oscar, all that stuff. I they're vehemently different. You know,
Yes, they
they're
are. Not even close to the same.
not even like not even
Not even
thematic
thematically close to the
thematically
same.
not even, and people are like, oh yeah, this one's better. Like, who the fuck care? Like, they're not even the fucking same. That just because I just had to go on that little rant because my boy Paul Thomas Anderson, man, I remember watching No Country for Old Men for the first time in theater and getting 3/4 almost done with the movie. I'm like, there hasn't been any music in this movie at all until the mariachi band starts playing in the end.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my God, this is the first instance of music. Holy shit. But boy, yeah, damn. I love that movie. Joe,
What up?
when you're watching a movie for the first time, what really hooks you? What do
Oh
you think
man.
makes it a movie that you're going to either rewatch again or recommend to somebody? What makes you like a movie?
Man, I was thinking about this for a minute, and it really depends on a couple things, but one is I have an idea of what a movie is when I look at the genre. So if I walk into a comedy, I have a different expectation whereas if I'm walking to like a thriller or something. So
Now,
for like
do you tend to watch the trailer before?
I think so a little bit. I understand that trailers nowadays tend to give away too much, and I kind of have to agree to that.
Isn't that the worst?
But at the same time, I don't feel like I've missed out on much. Like if I watch a trailer and I watch the movie and thinking back, I'm like, the trailer didn't necessarily ruin everything or didn't ruin the movie for me for the most part, and I think that's okay. I think trailers for me hype me up for the movie, or if it's a trailer that shows that the movie's obviously terrible, then it does the opposite effect. So at least in a sense, that sort of filters out what I want to watch and what I don't want to watch. So for example, if I was watching like a action movie, I think what really draws me with action movies is really the first couple scenes. Like I consider like the kind of like the hook. And I
Mm-hmm.
understand I mean, and this is just me personally. I'm not the biggest fan of very very slow movies. I know that there's pacing involved, and I think that you got to develop the characters and develop the storyline and all that. But I think especially with action movies, and I'm not gonna drag this on and go through all the genres, but for action
So
movies, I think that
you like
what's up?
something with a little pep in its step. You like something.
Yeah,
Okay, let's get to the point. A
just a little
tight
bit.
90 minutes or less, and you're good.
I wouldn't complain. I wouldn't complain at all.
Yeah.
So, just as long as it has a nice hook and it kind of gets me interested from the get go. If you slow down, in the middle of the movie, that's okay with me because I understand there's development and all that. So, just as long as it wows me initially, and then it does it developing, and then has all the other stuff, I think that's a good movie for me.
Yeah.
And overall, for all movies, I gotta be able to suspend my disbelief in to some degree. If it gets so ridiculous, well, there's exceptions to this, like Fast and Furious. I'm just like, all right, cool, just do your thing. But for most movies, I gotta be able to be like, all right, this is believable in this context. If it ever breaks it, then I think like it goes so bad that it breaks it, then I'll try to be like, I don't really like the movie so much. So that's just kind of my litmus test on what I do. Examples that break my disbelief is like when I see like really, really skinny Hollywood women like beating the shit out of like 40 dudes. Like, get a buffer woman. Get a woman that's like sort of
God.
jacked. That's my only. Hey, what's that? You guys know what the Wilhelm scream is?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
Ever since I sort of saw that, it's sort of like I wasn't a big fan of it because it breaks it. This is my only niche. This is the only complaint I have about action movies with the women.
So a better way of saying that would be your suspension of disbelief is broken.
Yes,
Okay.
but I could still sort of enjoy the movie, just not as much. That's
Okay.
all.
So what you're
Very
saying is
specific.
Charlize Theron can kick ass in Atomic Blonde, but Mila Jovovich can't kick ass in Resident Evil.
The thing is, I think Mila Djokovic, to me, looks like more of a badass than Charlize Theron. I don't know why. So I could,
That's a take.
but
That is a take.
the thing is, with Resident Evil, you get guns and shit. Like I have no problem with people shooting everything up. That's suspension of belief is fine with that. It's that when she kicks someone, the dude flies 10 feet. I'm like, okay, bro, okay, go have your salad and relax. That's just how I feel about it.
Oh God.
Jesus Christ.
Man, no, fuck you guys. You know I'm right. You still want to say it?
No.
Yeah. I'm not
Johnny,
trying.
what
I'm
what
not trying to
draws
be
you
offensive.
Johnny, what draws you into a movie?
To me, it just has to have a very interesting take, whether it's either story, character, if it's action scene within the first 30 minutes. So as long, or I won't even say 30 minutes, I'll say within before the end of the first act, since most of these movies are 3 acts anyway. There's usually something that kind of hooks you in, and then you start delving into the world. I don't mind movies that are long drawn as long as I can see where they're going. Because if they're going to take me places, then I'm willing to stick it out if the ending kind of lands or not. So I'm very forgiving in that front because I can finish a movie. My wife will only give it 15 minutes. So that's
Yeah.
basically
So
what it
she's
is.
quick on the draw, huh? She doesn't fuck around.
She doesn't fuck around. If it's not good, then she's
Yeah.
gonna go into the other room and watch some TikToks. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to finish this movie, even though we might have the same conclusion. yeah, this movie wasn't that good, but she
All
saved
right.
herself an hour 45 minutes.
I mean, do you think that having like such instant gratification like that is bad for the movie business? Because now the movie business sort of caters to that.
Well, maybe not. I would tell you that going back to where we're talking about trailers, right? I love watching trailers only specifically when it's in a movie theater, just because it just hypes you, gets you anticipated. But I guess I thought Dakota was an outlier, but she's actually more of what newer generation Gen Z is doing with movies. They'll watch trailers, then they'll watch movies or videos on YouTube about what has happened or to it, and then go into the movie. So they'll know everything before they go into the movie rather than be surprised or shocked as they're going
Yeah.
into it.
I've noticed that as well. My girlfriend is like that. She's like, "Tell me what happened." I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna fucking like." So I finished this. We were watching The Sopranos together for the first time, and
Mhm.
then I got onto spring break, and I was like, "See ya!" And I just watched. I just went boom straight through. And so she's behind, and she's been watching. She goes, "Just tell me what happens." I go, "I am not gonna tell you what happens. I am absolutely not gonna ruin this for you because it just takes. Why would I do that? I would feel bad." And I remember, boy, high school. We were in high school when Lord of the Rings was coming out. Someone spoiled the end
Wow.
of Lord of the Rings for me,
Oof.
Well, I mean,
and
that sucks.
I mean, and we were talking about it. I was like, "Yeah, I'm reading the books right now." And they're like, "Oh yeah, in the end when blank," and I went, "Oh," and and here's another story about that kind of stuff. When my girlfriend and I first started dating, I remember we were walking to the movies. Right, we had just parked and we're walking. We were talking about Game of Thrones. This was within the first like 6 months of us dating, and she goes, "Oh yeah, when Tyrion dies in Game of Thrones, he doesn't." Spoiler.
Mm.
And I went, "Whoa, whoa," and I started like pacing, and I'm like, my hands above my head, like you're just got done running lines in basketball. And she's like, "What?" I go, "Why would you spoil this for me? I'm what?" And she goes, "Oh, I don't know. I just heard. I don't know." And I'm like, "What? What?" And she goes, "Oh no, I meant this other guy." And I was like, "Oh my god!" Like I was like,
Rip.
Yeah,
I
this.
this I went white. I was like, I cannot believe like it was I experienced every emotion there ever was ever in that like 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's crazy. This generation, like they want to know spoilers, while we are like, hey,
Yeah.
there's a reason
No,
why
no,
we say
no,
spoiler alert. Like, don't tell us. Like, we're warning you guys, but these guys are like, oh, go ahead and tell us because we're gonna go watch it. But it's cool to know, and I'm just like, why?
no.
Like, I think the one movie where she really didn't go in full looking at spoilers. What was the last movie we saw? Oh, it was Tenet. First of all,
Oh, okay.
that is the worst time to actually stop and decided not to do that. You might as well
Yeah.
put
I
yourself
was
into
just like, of all movies, huh?
yeah. So she came in, and then we were driving home. She's all like, "Okay, I have so many questions." I'm all like, "I think I can only answer a couple of them for you because I'm still processing this movie right now." But okay, you can ask.
All right.
But it's one of those things where I'm like, I I love the genuine joy, shock, suspense of movies. That's why
Yeah.
trailers these days try to tell you the whole story regardless if you like Christopher Nolan or not. The one thing I know about his movie trailers is that the last third is preserved. You don't know what the last third is,
Mhm.
always, at all times. So every time I see a trailer for his movie, I know that I didn't watch the whole thing.
It
I only got the gist of what the story is.
it seems like a lot of directors these days don't have a lot of input on the trailer, but I think Nolan really does, judging by the way his trailers are usually put together.
I think there's only two, and it's Nolan and it's Tarantino. Those are the only two that probably have
Mhm.
final cut in their trailers of what it is. Everyone else they don't trust. I'm like, we're gonna market your movie. The other
Yeah.
two, I'm like, you guys made us so much money. Fine, go ahead, have it.
Yeah, for me, what makes a good movie, it's kind of the same as you guys. I'm going to explain it in kind of like D&D terms because I've been putting together my brother and his group's her new campaign that I DM every week. You got to have a good hook, man. That
Yep.
hook.
You got to have that hook.
really matters. Like the hook for this next campaign we're doing, you need to secure. It's a heist. I'm putting together a heist campaign. So the goal is you need to get the money. You need to pull the heist off. Okay. I'm into that keyword heist. Fuck yeah, I'm in. I'm at least my ears perk up. But then and something else follows that I could not be into, I could hate, I could love, that kind of thing. It's gotta have a hook, you know? That's why it's so, you know, I should say it's got to give me a hook without giving me the whole farm, you know, without giving me the whole fish right away. Like
It's challenging
like
though.
the
It's challenging
trailers,
to do that.
give me a hook.
I guess it's again. It's just it's hard to do that, and it's challenging. And people that can do that, I give a lot of props to.
I mean, I just watched the Dune trailer again while you guys were talking because this is apropos, and it's like for people who have read the book, I'm like, oh fuck yeah, yeah, yeah. For you guys, it's like, oh shit, Pink Floyd's playing in this crazy cover. Oh my god, things are exploding. This fucking aircraft that looks like a bug. Oh shit. Like, that's a hook. That's like, okay, I'm in. And then the crazy shit's gonna happen without you guys even knowing, you know, or without you guys going into it and you guys have no idea what to expect. That's how I picture all movie trailers. And then you fucking go to the movies and it's like it literally has the plot of the 3 acts and you're like, well, why do I need to see that now?
Yeah.
I feel some Marvel movies have been pretty, I don't know, those are pretty different because you know what's gonna happen, but they're a blast anyway, you know?
Do you ever feel a little formulaic about the Marvel movies?
I think I think for a little bit there they were getting formulaic, but then they pivoted. I
Yeah, like
think
WandaVision was a great little like
I
switch,
way
right?
even way before that when they introduced the cosmic stuff.
Yeah,
Doctor
yeah.
Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy. I remember when Guardians of the Galaxy 1 was about to come out. I was going, what the fuck? They're gonna pull this crazy like B team C level book and make a movie out of these guys. Okay, I'm gonna see it because it's gonna be weird, even if it's not good. And it was amazing.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think Feige understood after probably like Age of Ultron that like he is the guy that needs to just plan things out.
Uh-huh.
But then you bring in directors to put their own spin on it. Yes, it's going to be formulaic at certain spots, but you can tell that there's different visual or thematic flares that each director
Mm-hmm.
brings. James Gunn is a very funny comedic guy, and you can see that he's very good with team up movies. The Russo brothers brought in a more Bourne like action to the movies, whether that's good or bad. I think it works in Winter Soldier. Doesn't really work for me in like Civil War, just because sometimes got to stop moving the camera, man. I need to see what the hell is going
Yeah.
on, more or less. But then you got guys like Scott Derrickson who did Doctor Strange, and he came from a horror background, so that's why there's horror elements to Doctor Strange. And then you got Taika Waititi, right? So
Yeah.
he brings the comedy to Thor. He finally understood what to do with Thor, and and now more people are very excited about the movie, not just the character, moving forward with him being behind the helm.
Boy, I tell you, I would have loved to see Edgar Wright's Ant-Man. That's the biggest what if for me. I think that would have been a blast. You
Yeah,
know?
it probably would have been really good, and I've been like, this is not an MCU movie, and that's where the
Yeah.
problem lies in,
Yeah,
right? So,
for sure.
um,
And
but I mean, I enjoyed the first Ant-Man, not the second one, not so much, but the first one I really did enjoy.
Hey Joe,
What up?
what's the first movie you saw that really kind of perked you up to like being a big movie fan? You know, was there a moment? Do you remember? Was there a moment?
You know, I'm not certain if it's a moment. I will definitely think about this, and if it comes up again, I'll bring it up. I think in general, what happened was my parents were pretty strict, and they
Mm-hmm.
didn't let me watch a lot of TV or movies. So I was like a dry sponge. I'll just absorb anything that,
Yeah, that's a
um,
great analogy.
So the second that I distinctly remember the first movie I watched. and it was Freddy versus Jason. I don't know why this is my first movie. What happened was, I was at some sort of after school tutoring bullshit or whatever.
Hmm.
And what happened was, after the allotted time, if the parents take a minute to pick up the kids, so some of the older kids just put a movie on. This was still when it was on VHS, and that shit scarred me for a minute. It was because everything before that was some, like very PG stuff, and suddenly get hit with Freddy versus Jason, and I had no idea of the history of any of this stuff, and I remember that being hitting me. But the first movie that really got me going was sort of everything I've watched during high school, I think.
Yeah.
Um, all I was always a big fan of, and I can't really, again, a lot of these movies I didn't watch on release. A lot of these movies I watched
Yeah.
after the fact. So all of the Bourne series, big fan. All of the Matrix series, big fan. All the Ocean series, big fan. Um, and I think that's sort of in general. And I'll try to keep thinking about it, but um,
I think I think there's something to be said right now because I work at a high school, even so I get to see a fair amount of general pop or general education. I was about to say gen pop,
yeah, yeah,
general education, and I work with in a special day class with emotionally disturbed students, and they're not different than the gen ed kids. They just have emotional regulation issues, you know.
yeah. Okay,
So I talk to them all the time about what are they watching, what are the what's the deal, what do you like, and I'm like, hey, do your parents let you watch this? They're like, yeah, they don't care. And I think, and I remember when I was same as you, Joe, my parents were very strict about what I watched. And I think
yep,
that's kind
yep.
of the theme for our generation because we weren't connected the whole time, We
Yeah,
weren't,
that's definitely right.
we
Exactly right.
didn't
Yeah,
have that phone where we could just, fuck, I'm just going to watch some crazy stuff on YouTube. I'm going to watch Jake Paul
right, right.
do something awful to somebody else. I'm,
Yeah,
they have this level of kind of, I hate the word, but like desensitization
yeah, because
to
they're
this whole
always
thing
like plugged in.
because they're plugged in. They're seeing this stuff as a developing person, and as a developing, like cognitively and their personality, and they're seeing all this stuff at a really early age, and it's really kind of making them kind of like this weird their empathy is being fucked with a lot is what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
seeing. What about you, Johnny? What was the first movie, first time, first kind of like you got jacked into the matrix, if you will, of movies and really thinking about the
He's
craft?
literally got a library in his brain. This guy.
Just like you guys, I think high school is when my mom and then my uncle, my aunt, like they knew that I was a little bit more mature, so I can kind of watch it. So up until that point, it's just action comedy movies that I didn't think of a second layer to the storytelling, right? And then I saw Steven Soderbergh's Traffic, and to me
Oh,
that movie really opened my eyes of like what filmmaking is. I started noticing what colored palettes, why he used certain things. I understood that he was trying to tell a much broader story, and this is like freshman sophomore year in high school, and we're learning about history stuff in class, right? So I'm like, oh shit, like this is crazy, right? Like I could see what's happening to it, right? So I just noticed more above the surface level. And I always will remember that movie because that is the first movie that I always think of. I'm like, why is he changing color? I don't get it. And then when keep rewatching, I'm like, I get it. I understand the war on drugs and why he's doing it when it comes to Benicio del Toro's character or Michael Douglas's character, Dennis Quaid's character. It made a lot of sense to me. So that was the movie. It's funny though, because I feel like most people during our high school, their big awakening was Donnie Darko, and I hate that movie as a kid in high school, and I still hate that movie now.
Yeah, it's a
Like,
bad
but Donnie
movie.
Darko, Donnie Darko was the movie where I just remember. I'm not gonna call out some of these guys because, well, no, I'm not gonna do it because if they do listen, they'll know who they are. I'm just saying they thought their minds were blown by watching that movie, and I was just like, look, I just got into this, but is it really that mind blowing?
yeah. I mean, look, we were all like what 15 at the time. Traffic's a pretty deep movie for
Mhm.
being a teenager, right? You got to keep in mind the tastes we had when we were that age. And in that sense, Donnie Darko was just like a what? Because you have a fucking creepy ass rabbit. That's something.
Hey,
And
I want to say that soundtrack was a heater.
Yes, the
right,
soundtrack
right.
is so great.
I mean, the point I'm making is for that. I mean, I'm not. You can have your own opinion, so I'm not saying you're wrong in any way. But it just the taste we had. Not. I mean, maybe you had a much more mature taste, but I think we were very very like on the surface sort of thing, especially with our circle of friends. So
Well, I
But
mean,
I also, before you go, Jared, I just remember, I think you brought up the soundtrack, and that's very smart because I think the soundtrack clouded what everyone thought of the movie.
mhm,
Because that soundtrack makes you really,
absolute bangers.
but it's funny because like I noticed it, and I'm all like, it does lend to the movie. But if I took this away and just looked at it on face value, I'm all like, no, no, it doesn't even work. But
I
continue.
mean, that's how
But
Mad World got really popular.
yes, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when we were in high school, that wasn't that kind of when, man, there was some crazy things going on. That was when Jackass was big. It
Mm-hmm.
was
Yep. Oh,
when
Jacko was mad popular. You're right.
um
I mean, the
Everyone
Matrix series
kicking
is.
each other in the balls,
I
dude.
was saying Matrix
everyone,
series was still a thing then,
well, it
right?
was also
Rom coms as well.
not, you know what? Yeah, rom-coms, but I want to say it was more what you said, like action movies like Born Identity and like
I was
um
thinking also Fight Club.
yeah, I feel Fight Club is a lot of people's like introduction to like, oh fuck yeah, film,
It's
you
Yeah.
just
know.
really gruesome. Just Jesus Christ.
So
And
there's. Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead, Johnny.
No, I was gonna say I was gonna ask you guys about certain movies I remembered during high school that if you remember talking about. I think one I remember. I don't know if you saw it, Joe, or if you told it to your Japanese teacher or you guys is about the Last Samurai. I don't
With
know if you guys are
with
with Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
I hate that movie so
Um,
much.
we
Ken
we had a
Watanabe. Okay, everybody listening, everybody, if you're listening, pull over your car. If you're listening, stop what you're doing. Tom Cruise is not the last samurai. Ken Watanabe in that movie is the last samurai. Okay, that's your public service announcement.
I mean he was also really good in
Ken Watanabe is a badass. He's so good.
I I just like him as an actor in general. He brings some sort of seriousness in a lot of movies.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just remember because I think one of you guys were Joe or one of our friends in that Japanese class was bringing up to the teacher, and the teacher was pointing out all these historical inaccuracies, and I'm all like,
The best.
I'm all like, yeah, but the movie was fun. I don't know what
wonder
you guys talking
I
about.
wonder who. God, it sounds like such a douchey thing I would do though. But like, I wonder which teacher would have been. It's not from that Leech.
It was
Like Leech would have
I don't know, maybe.
probably because Kodono was a mega Japanese. Like he was really into Japanese buff, while Leech was he just really enjoyed teaching. I think. Not but on a side note, the movie that really kicked it off for me, I realized Jurassic Park, the first one. I think that it was like kind of like whoa in terms of because I watched it was really young. It was before high school, I think, and that's kind of what kicked it off for me. But you could go ahead.
Um, okay. I have a couple distinct memories of what really got me turned on to watching movies. One of them was Groundhog Day.
Good. Okay.
I mean, I saw these movies way too young, except for probably like one or two. Groundhog Day was something that I couldn't. When I was a kid, I probably watched it when I was 10, so about 3 years
Okay.
after it came out.
Yeah.
It was a movie that was really funny to me at the time, but for some reason, I couldn't stop thinking about it. And
Was it the concept?
I think it was a lot of it was the concept. I loved Bill Murray and all that stuff, and I would revisit it, as I got older, and as I got older, it's like one of my favorites ever. But I think, man, just how it swung wildly, the tone and the mood swung so wildly in that movie got me. Like it really got me, like, I don't know, like it really, like it made me think. And then I saw Fargo with my grandma. She
Oh,
recommended it. My grandma saw a movie every week.
She's a huge movie buff, huh?
Yeah, when she was alive, like she would be like, went to the show again on Friday. Like she would go every Friday. And I remember her recommending Fargo to my mom, and she's like, "Yeah, sure, Jared can watch it."
Oh
I
my
should
god.
have watched that movie.
No, 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 no.
No.
Like this was probably 98, so I was like 12. Even 12, that is way too young to watch fucking Fargo.
Yeah, it's a lot of murder
And
going on.
I remember watching it in my mom's first house after her and my dad split. And I'm watching it wide eyed going, this is, and like looking at my mom, looking at the TV. My mom's going, when does this end? I hate the way they talk. They're so this. And I knew I was seeing something incredible. It was special. It was hilarious. It was dark. It was everything that I knew. It's just like I was activated. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. This is it. Like, this is hilarious. It's like, oh my gosh. Like, when he puts the dude in the wood chipper, she goes, Jared, why are you laughing? That's awful. I go, Mom, that's hilarious. Like, yeah, it's awful, but it's so funny. And then the third one is, I mean, I could say Ghostbusters because it informed my kind of sense of humor, but
Okay.
that's, you know, was when same grandma took me for my birthday to see the Truman Show.
That's dude, what's with your grandma and like these weird like utopian crazy timing?
Man, she's like, yeah, it looks good. Let's go see it.
I mean,
It's your
it's a great
birthday.
movie.
Oh yeah, sure, okay. And I remember sitting there going like, whoa, Jim Carrey. Like, I don't know, something about that, like seeing and she asked me questions about it, how I felt about it, if I
Oh,
liked it. It was
that's a
like
really good. That's
it was
pretty
the first
awesome of her.
time I like had like a dialogue with
Yeah.
somebody. And she used to show my brother and I always text, she died December before COVID, so December 19. And I remember my brother and I will text each other every once in a while, like, hey, do you remember when grandma showed us this Twilight Zone episode and
Oh shit.
freaked us out when we were like 8? Went to bed crying, like,
Oh god.
and then like, oh yeah, she showed me the Thriller video when I was like 6, and like it scared me. Like
And she's
she was a
wild.
she was a like a real weird lady, but like very like I get all my sensibilities of what I like and dislike obviously from her. And it was like she really is kind of responsible for my real love of like the weird movies and just like crazy humor and that kind of stuff.
How do you did she ever show you Memento then? Or is that something you kind of went onto your own? You know, because that's the same kind of like, it's
I
the
want
same
to
sort of thing.
Yeah, so I think she also recommended that to us. Yeah. She would always recommend movies to, we'd Friday night, we'd rent the cassette or DVD, pop it in, and that was another one. It would always be the same. My mom would fall asleep 45 minutes into it.
Fantastic.
I would watch it. I'd be like, man, Mom, that was really good. You should watch it. She goes, I did watch it. It was terrible.
Oh,
I'm going to
come
bed.
on. Come
Okay, Mom.
on.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know. My parents never liked movies, so it's always nice to hear the other side of the coin.
Yeah, I remember the first time. So we watched the Royal Tenenbaums, and my mom and her partner fucking hated it. Like, there's no redeeming qualities. This is
Yeah,
weird. Why do they
yeah.
film it like that? And that was another one that was like, oh, this is great. This is yeah, I am into this.
So I'd say your
I
grandma
agree with your
was
mom.
really your grandma's what really kind of shaped your movie tastes.
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable saying that.
I
And
mean, it's awesome, man.
yeah, I the more I think about it, the more I'm like, definitely she like really was the one to, yeah,
I
really do that.
I think movies in general are one of the better forms of art. I get that some people are into paintings and all that kind of stuff. Just movies and video games, they're excellent, works of art. And I always thought that it's something that I'd want to show my kids and all that. And my grandparents growing up were mega religious. They didn't even own a TV. They read
Oh,
the Bible sort of thing, and I never had any interaction with them. Same with my parents, super religious. Did all that kind of stuff. But then I had a couple cousins who were a little bit younger that did the whole movie thing, and that kind of how it happened. But to be honest, most of my movie taste development, just friends in high school, like you guys. We just
Would you say it was kind of like a deviant behavior kind of thing? Like you were getting away with something by
dude,
watching it?
actually, yeah, like my
Kind of a dangerous little.
I mean, I really liked it. Like that's one of the really cool things about if I went to a buddy's house or something and we watch a movie,
Mhm.
I'd love it. Like I get that some guys would get kind of bored of that because that's what they do all the time, but like I was just glued to the
Well, it was
TV.
yeah, it was novelty. It was a new experience for you.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? So, because like we never had cable TV growing up, we had the basic, antenna channels and all
Mhm.
that. So that shit was boring. But like this is how bad it was. What I do remember in middle school, like eighth grade, is I'd come home from school and I'd turn on the TV, and what I would watch every day was the Andy Griffith Show, and not. I'm not saying it's bad.
No,
It's
no,
It
not
no,
was a
even I
no.
Love Lucy. It's Andy Griffith.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's what happened to be on at the time. Has to be on at the time, and I just watched it just because there's nothing else to watch.
Mhm.
My parents just be
Mhm.
do homework, do this and do that, and that's all good and stuff. But there has to be balance in life. I think.
I think we grew up at a really great time because we got to see all those classics on Nick at Night, like that kind of stuff. Andy Griffith, I Love
Yeah,
Lucy.
yeah.
Man, I remember watching the Munsters, all that shit. I loved it.
I
But
loved
then
I Love
also,
Lucy.
it was like, oh, okay, I'm done with this black and
Y-
white stuff.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, I think just in general we looking. I know a lot of people look back and say, "Oh yeah, we had the best era in movies and all that." I think just we had a very good run of movies. We had some bad ones, of course, but just overall, if you look at it from let's say '98 to 2010, good decade of movies. And and there was a lot of variety. I think the only complaint I really have of today's movies is that a buddy of mine who was a film major, he was saying a lot of movies sort of generate from like four genres or 4 to 6 genres. Like there's a derivative of them. So there is an issue with things kind of repeating themselves and putting up an original idea is getting increasingly more difficult. And I sort of have to agree. Like Marvel really hit the gold mine with the super cool superhero movies, but then after about 4 or 5 movies, it started getting a little bit, like I said before, formulaic, and inevitably that's what happens. But then people love it, so why not? If it works, don't change it, right?
Mhm.
And again, like the movies that they're coming out now with the Disney Plus and all that stuff, with expanding out to different universes and taking different things, and I think that's a good way to do it. I just think that back when we were in high school, there was just a bigger movie buffet, so to speak, that I could pick from. And I really much enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, the more profit driven things become, the more kind of watered down everything becomes, and just how fucking confusing everything is. Like, tell me why I can't watch any of the Spider-Man movies
Yeah, because of copyright and
anywhere
all that.
on fucking streaming right now
They
Sony has them.
because
yeah,
Sony
Sony's
has them, and
it
I
might be on
don't need
Paramount
another.
Plus,
I
whatever that
do
is.
not need another streaming site. I do not need another one of those. Like, I'm good. Nah, dog, I'm good.
Yeah,
But if I when I was doing my Marvel fucking watch through, I had to, let's say, procure
the ones that are missing,
the ones
right?
that are missing.
Right. Yeah.
I'm paying. I'm willing to pay good money for the ability to be like, okay, give me all the Marvel movies because I'm a crazy person and that wants to watch them all in a row.
Yeah.
But
I don't see why not. I mean, the demand's probably there, right?
and it's just so Sony finally, I think it was today or yesterday, signed a deal that was that the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies are going to go onto Disney Plus after they are on Netflix. So you're going to be able to watch everything in one spot. But I'm just like oh brother, where art thou? I had to I bought it. It was $5, whatever. I'm fine with that. But the fact that like I have to be part of like 6 different services. Oh, is it on this? Is it not on that?
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
and also no one has capitalized on a website that can tell me where something is streaming or not streaming is wild to me.
I am.
Actually, there is a website.
Yeah, there's a
Oh,
website.
yeah?
Yeah,
It's called
yeah,
justwatch.com.
Okay.
yeah.
Hey, justwatch.com.
That will literally tell you where it is streaming,
Good.
stuff like that.
Also, Google does it too.
Yeah,
But
well, that's what I do. I have to go
yeah.
like the other day. Oh, brother, where art thou streaming? Okay, it's not anywhere. Okay, Amazon. Okay, like
Yeah.
and
just watch is much cleaner.
and you make me like I don't want to sail the seas, and fly the black flag.
Yeah, I see what you. But I mean, look, I think that if you did your due diligence, and I think that you did all that, I don't see anything wrong with it for that specific kind of scenario.
Yeah,
Because you're willing to pay for it, they're not putting it out there.
It's just crazy to me that some.
I will say this because this will be on probably another episode. I understand, and this is very. I would say it's kind of small, but it really isn't. I get that Marvel fans are rejoicing that Spider-Man is now going to be at home with Marvel, but I do not like that Sony now just consolidated to Disney. So everything made by Sony when it ends their contracts with some of the other streaming sites is going to Disney because Disney is getting too big and I don't fucking like it at all. At all.
No,
like it is it's starting to centralize so much that I'm like, I don't like this. This isn't really cool.
Well,
but that's a different discussion.
It is true. The smart thing is to buy Disney stock.
I don't have
might
that
as
money.
well. I'm saying might as well ride that train while it's going up. But I agree with you. I agree with that sentiment. I felt the same way a couple of years back, where Disney started owning like 30% of all movies coming out. The percentage slowly went up and up and up and up and up, and yeah, now they own everything, or soon to be everything, and that's. I don't think in the heart of creativity, I don't think that's going to be good.
All right, so we're gonna do plugs right now, Joe.
I like how it's always me.
Plug your plugs.
Because I don't have my own stuff. But yeah, like I said all the time, this podcast is always found on Instagram and on Twitter, Film Lovers GTTG. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to tell us about your worst date or your worst movie. Tell us about the time you screwed up taking someone to whatever, and I'd love to hear that about, or maybe even what the best part was.
Yes.
Also, I'd love to hear about the movie that really kicked it off for you. So please hit us up on there or tweet us, whatever, and we try to be as responsive as interactive as we can.
Johnny.
You guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram at jno11, JNGO11. From there, I'll tweet stuff about movies, sports, politics, whatever is kind of going on. So if you guys want to check out another podcast about basketball, me and John, we have a podcast called Couch and Courtside. So take a look at that as well.
I have a Twitter account where I post about real dumb stuff and politics and that kind of stuff, as well as some pro wrestling at JLUTHY on Twitter. And yeah, next week, I'm not really sure what we're talking about, but I'm sure it'll be fun. Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully you guys got to know us a little better. All you galaxy brains out there. That's what I'm going to call friends from
I like that. I like that.
Yeah. So have a good one, everybody, and we'll catch you later.